Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Punch It Podcast, episode 3. We're a few weeks removed from WrestleMania 41, so we just wanted to do a catch-up episode because we haven't had one in a little while.
So true.
So, yeah, we are 3 days away from Backlash,
Okay.
and there's going to be another SmackDown coming up. We don't know if that's going to change anything with Backlash, but we just wanted to get the episode in now to sort of talk about all the storylines that are developing and what's going on with some of our favorite superstars, and to kind of talk about what we like and don't like.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement has happened since our last podcast, and I think now is a good time to really catch everybody up before. Is this going to be a pay-per-view next?
Yeah, this is a PLE.
Okay.
It doesn't really feel as big, kind of the post-Mania kind of time.
Yeah.
Always feels like a little bit of a reset where they set up some new things.
Yeah.
And Backlash can be really fun, though. Like, Backlash has traditionally been the, revenge, pay-per-view after WrestleMania, where sometimes we see some rematches, which we're kind of seeing, I think, one sort of rematch and, the start of some of these new feuds in the wake of the events that transpired at WrestleMania. Okay. So I'm excited for this one, even though it's sort of like a smaller PLE. There's only going to be 5 matches scheduled as of today. Again, we don't know what's going to happen on the SmackDown in a couple of days, but I think it's a good time to talk about all these things now.
Did you say that Backlash is kind of like the second or the next best thing after WrestleMania?
No,
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
Oh,
no.
the episode of Raw after WrestleMania is the next best thing.
To me, it's one of the next best things. It's the best Raw of the year.
Yeah.
Because the crowds are so hyped.
Yeah.
The crowds are kind of like a lot of the people that there's a lot of people that went to WrestleMania because it always stays in the same city, but it's also some of the people that didn't get to go to WrestleMania. So they're always it's always like a really hot, lively crowd.
Yeah.
And I think that was true
of
this case.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. Yeah. Well, let's get into these new storylines. I guess WWE's kind of hit a little bit of a reset, and there's some new storylines approaching that I have mixed feelings about.
Okay.
Now that it's gotten to almost a full just this reset, I'm feeling a little, I miss the old storylines, but this is just how it goes, I guess. You can't expect anything to be the same for very long, and it's just gonna be, it'll be good. This is how it's meant to play out.
So I think maybe we'll just start talking about what happened on the Raw right after WrestleMania, and then that'll kind of lead into the next the 3 Raws that have happened since then, and then SmackDown as well. So the Raw after Mania opened up with John Cena coming out to kind of do a little bit of gloating, a little bit of saying "I told you so," and a little bit of "now that I have this, I am going to keep it the rest of the year."
Yeah.
And then take it forever, and you'll never see this championship again.
Good for him. And then he said, well, I remember the part where he was counting up how many more appearances he had on Raw specifically, or Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, I think his total appearances, not matches, not whatever. It's just however many. This is how many times you're gonna see him, and then you're never gonna see him in WWE again.
Yeah, and we did the math, and it was kind of once a week for the rest of the year, right?
It's almost it almost was I think it was 20 something, and then there's only 30 something weeks left. So and that's sort of felt consistent. I think he's appeared 3 times since then, which is maybe not what we expected when he first announced he was retiring at the beginning of the year on that first Netflix Raw. Yeah. And then we didn't see him for a long time. He wasn't there to promote the match. But now he's appearing a lot, especially because he has a match at Backlash.
Right.
At the end of his promo, Randy Orton appeared and RKO'd him out of nowhere. trademark classic vintage Randy Orton to use Michael Cole's speech, but
Who's Michael Cole?
the announcer, the commentator, I should say, on Raw.
He has a speech.
No, I just mean like he always says like vintage X wrestler.
I see. Okay.
So whenever Randy Orton does a particular move, like his like middle rope DDT that he does, Michael Cole always says vintage Orton.
Oh. Okay, so I know an RKO is Randy Orton's finisher.
Yeah.
And that is a finisher where he like takes their necks and like kind of pulls them down.
Yeah, he jumps up, grabs you by the head, and then falls down, brings your face to the mat.
That's a good one. But an RKO we think is his initials. That's why it's called an RKO.
Yeah, I think he said it's his initials. It doesn't really matter. It's an RKO.
Okay.
And it has a reputation now. It's out of nowhere, right? They always say RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like a surprise wrestling move.
That is one of the wrestling moves that I actually know.
It gets the crowd live.
Yeah.
It really gets people excited.
I don't know how they play that because that looks like it hurts every time.
Yeah, I think Randy he's a pro. He's been wrestling forever. He protects them. But it's kind of funny that...
I'm playing that it's real.
Oh, okay. It's real. You're right. So wrestling is real. But it has a reputation. They always say RKO out of nowhere. Like it comes out of nowhere.
Right.
But it's a wrestling match. How is any move out of nowhere? Like you should... If you're in a wrestling match, you should expect to be hit with a wrestling move, right?
Yeah.
But I guess what he did to John Cena was out of nowhere. He wasn't even, the way they did it, he wasn't even like in frame. He wasn't on camera.
Right.
He just like popped up. I think he was probably under the ring.
Yeah.
And then he popped up, RKO'd him, and then that is the setup to their feud.
Yeah. Yeah. That was exciting. That'll be interesting. I didn't know that they were the same age. I thought Randy Orton was older. I don't know. They both look really old now, but this is supposed to be a good feud or a good match because they've been fighting together or against each other for a while.
Yeah, they've
had before.
Yeah, they've had like similar careers. They came into training around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be road buddies at one point, just like
What's a road buddy?
So like wrestlers, when they're doing like the house shows, they often like drive together from city to city. Mm. So at one point they would like be driving together in the same.
How do you know this?
They've talked a lot about. I'm really into like the backstage stuff. I've watched a lot of podcasts, a lot of interviews.
Okay.
I've read the WWE magazine when that existed.
Oh.
But yeah, so they've had, similar sort of career arcs. They've always been compared to one another. They've been the top, two wrestlers for long periods of time, mm-hmm. and just so many matches, which I don't know if we do some content about this, but they've been showing a lot of these like rewind to this match.
Yeah.
They've been like showing clips. And you were saying like something funny, like you were commenting about like they look so young here, but now they look old.
Yeah.
And like, this was 16 years ago.
Yeah, that, and they have like ballooned up. Like their whole bodies, they looked normal when they were younger. Now they like have the same like kind of body type, but are older, but also just like thicker.
Yeah.
Somehow they're still super ripped, but bulgy.
Yeah, well they're both in their late 40s.
Yeah.
But I think with,
no
John,
shame.
I mean, John and Randy
bodies, all made in God's image,
Yeah, sorry to that, man.
Sorry to that, man.
They're both older, but Randy Orton, he's commented a lot on his own body.
Oh, really?
So, when they...
We don't.
You don't want to talk about their bodies?
I think we have a lot of matches or a lot of feuds to get into. So we've done.
You brought it up.
I didn't. You brought it up that I brought it up.
I think you said so
earlier.
Anyways, I am really looking forward to this match because Randy Orton versus John Cena was always a question that I had, or a question that I think a lot of people had, until they kind of collided in their careers. One was on Raw, one was on SmackDown, both kind of building up. You could see the trajectories of both of them, that they were going to be top wrestlers. But they finally met, and it didn't disappoint. Feud carried on for very long, but they haven't fought since 2017, I think they said, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm looking forward to this match. I think John will retain.
Yeah.
It's too soon, and I want to see more of John Cena. I want to see him face more of his old demons. But I'm looking forward to. I hope this is a good match.
Yeah.
Our producer's throwing stuff on the ground.
Sorry.
She's upset. Okay, I think the next thing we should talk about is the World Heavyweight Championship. As we know, if you've been following the Punch It podcast, the World Heavyweight Championship finally changed hands at WrestleMania with Jey Uso, Yeet, taking it from Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should just talk really quickly about what's happened with both of them. Starting with Jey Uso. He's starting his reign as World Heavyweight Champion. A lot of people think that he doesn't deserve it. I would disagree. He has been a staple in the WWE roster for a long time with his brother, and he's broken out.
Who's saying he doesn't deserve it?
I think just people online. People think he can't wrestle. I wouldn't mention that, but he has addressed that in some of his promos leading up to that match with Gunther. So I wanted to just talk about that really quick. So it's looking like Jay's first opponent in this is going to be Logan Paul. He did have a match with Seth Rollins that ended in some craziness, but I think that whole thing was more about Seth and his own feuds, which we could talk about after this. But Logan Paul came out into the ring and challenged Jay. Jay is not backing down from anybody challenging him, so he accepted it. Then post-show, off-air, only seen on social media, Logan Paul came out and attacked Jay a couple of nights ago at the end of Raw.
Oh.
So that's looking like it's going to be coming up. It's not going to happen at Backlash, but it looks like it's on the horizon.
Mm-hmm. I'm not on the wrestling side of TikTok and Instagram yet, so I did not know that.
It's probably better you stay off. You're going to see a lot of toxicity, but you do see some important stuff. I have mainly blocked most wrestlers in WWE because I don't like getting spoilers.
Yeah.
But I did find out about this. I don't remember how.
Okay.
But yeah, that looks like it's going to come up. I don't really... Who cares? I don't want Logan Paul to win.
Yes.
I just want Jay to win.
Yeah.
Whenever that happens.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not rooting for Logan Paul either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if we're gonna go back to this, but I thought that that was pretty interesting. The mind play that Paul Heyman put on Uso.
Oh, that was a good promo. We should mention that. Can you talk about that a little bit? That Paul Heyman passionate orange promo that he had?
Yeah, he was so orange. And then we're like, is he following in the footsteps? Who else was orange?
Braun Breaker, who he's managing now.
Yeah, they're so orange. Yeah, no, I don't I can't look past the horrible spray tan, I guess. But what I remember from that conversation was Paul Heyman entering the ring to talk to Jay, and he just kind of manipulated him into fighting Seth, and then he goes back to talk to Seth, and Seth says, "I told you so." and Paul Heyman's like, "I didn't believe he was gonna say yes." And then Seth says, "I told you so." And then so Seth goes in to fight Jay, and Paul Heyman stays and talks to the other orange man. What's his name?
Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker. And he tells him like this more drawn out plan that Seth has. And I don't remember it all exactly, but so, and how Paul Heyman like plays a part in it, like the betrayals from the tribal chief and from CM Punk played a part in making Seth, what is his championship right now?
Seth doesn't have a championship.
Oh, he doesn't. Okay. So anyway, him beating them, and then now he needs to. Because he needs a championship belt, he has to fight Jay. And is there somebody else that has a belt that he wants to take, or was that not part of the plan?
I think the only thing he mentioned as part of the plan was that he said the final piece was getting the championship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's really the true final piece, but that's what he said. He said we just need the championship.
Yeah, it sounded really calculated and just like evil plan-ish in the moment, and I thought that was entertaining.
Yeah, no, Paul Heyman's had some good promos recently. I don't really love his explanation of why he did it. I think what Seth is saying and what Paul Heyman is backing him up on is that Seth and Braun Breaker need to be the leaders of wrestling. Like, they need to lead wrestling forward, which I don't really totally buy. I think it's fine. It's an okay explanation, but I don't love it. I wish they had different motivations. I think it would make it a little bit more interesting for me personally.
Okay.
So where do we go from there? So since we already touched on Seth and Paul Heyman, I think the big shocker and the big twist at the Raw post-Mania was that CM Punk and Roman Reigns came out to confront this new pairing of Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, and they were met with the big reveal of Braun Breaker is the third member of their stable. And Braun Breaker helped Seth take out CM Punk and Roman Reigns. I think Braun Breaker is, a fine sort of addition to this stable. I think having some muscle behind, I guess, Seth Rollins' overall leadership and then Paul Heyman's brain kind of helps. And I'm interested to see what they kind of do. I mean, they want to take over and own Raw. And they've looked okay at doing it so far, but CM Punk did kind of get them on this last episode. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Braun Breaker is forgettable. He's like their little henchman, I guess. I don't know. I think it's early on in this like teaming, I guess, between Seth and Braun and Paul Heyman, and I'm glad. And we were saying it as the fight was going on, like somebody's gonna come in and interfere, and it was it someone else besides CM Punk, or was it just CM Punk?
In this last match, it was Sammy.
Yes, Sammy. But CM Punk came out too.
Sammy initially came out to, interfere to stop them from cheating or whatever. He came out to attack Braun, but then Braun took him out. So then CM Punk had to come out in the end and end that and cause a disqualification so that Seth Rollins would not win the championship. So going back to what we were saying before of like some storylines are not going to be done, CM Punk's rather is not done with Seth Rollins. He's still pissed about this whole thing, the betrayal, the going behind his back, and he's not going to stand for it. So this is just going to probably continue on for a little longer. I think adding Sammy to it does mix it up and make it a little bit more interesting so that it's not just the same thing happening.
Yeah.
So anyways, it looks like this first sort of Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Paul Heyman stable, the first thing they're going to have to do is deal with CM Punk and sort of deal with that backlash and get him to move on.
Yeah.
Because he is obviously still very upset about it, and he is still going to continue to attack them and not let them carry out their plan of taking over wrestling. So what it kind of looks like, and what I think might be interesting, is if CM Punk and Sami Zayn team up to take on Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker.
That would be good. I love CM Punk. I love Sami Zayn. I remember asking you, I was like, has Sami Zayn ever been a bad guy? Because he's just a good friend, you know?
He just loves his friends. He loves Jey Uso. He loves the bloodline. And he
Mm-hmm.
was a bad guy when he was in the bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
But he was always like the lovable sort of comedic relief of the bloodline, which sort of made him a good guy anyway, because he was just so funny.
Yeah. Love that guy. Love that man.
But yeah, I want to see where that goes. I
Mhm.
think it can continue on for a little bit. Obviously, it's not going to be resolved at Backlash. They don't have a match.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should continue for a little while, and we'll see where it goes. Next thing to talk about on Raw is the Intercontinental Championship. So Dominic Mysterio won the title at WrestleMania, and he has to have his first feud now.
Mm.
His first feud is going to be with Penta. Penta is upset still. He doesn't like Dom, doesn't like the Judgment Day. Judgment Day has sort of been teaming up to take on Penta and give Dom an advantage in his first title defense. But Penta is getting his rematch at Backlash. But it looks like there's still some weird things going on with Judgment Day. Finn Balor still not happy that Dom is in the spotlight and that Dom has the championship now, but so far he's been backing him up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not following this one super closely because Liv is out and doing her movie.
Yeah, Liv's in a movie.
Good for her. I'm happy for her.
Yeah, sorry that woman. I shouldn't have been upset about it.
Yeah, show some respect. Yeah, and yeah, but even though like she still hasn't been very supportive to Dom. Like anyway, well, that's for another time. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a big opinion on these guys. I like Liv is my favorite person in the Judgment Day, and Dom, I'm happy for him for winning the belt, but yeah, obviously they're the bad guys, and Penta is a good guy and a luchador, and yeah. So I don't know. Whatever happens, happens.
I like Dom. He's entertaining to me. I think his sort of sneaky, underhanded tactics are really funny. His mic skills are good. He's built a really good overall character.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's really much to do here right now. I think Penta is a really good wrestler. His matches have all been really good, and I think they can have a good match together. But as long as Dom is sort of weighed down by the Judgment Day interfering in all his matches, it feels like all these matches with Dom and the Judgment Day just go the same way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I expect Dom to retain, and because of interference.
Yeah.
Okay. Now for another Raw after Mania shocker. Becky turns on Lyra after losing the tag titles that they just won literally the night before and losing them right back to Liv and Raquel.
Mm-hmm.
Becky and Lyra have some history about, Lyra is a young wrestler from Ireland. Becky is one of the most iconic and beloved women's wrestlers of all time.
Really?
She had a really big run in some years that we both missed.
Oh,
but
okay.
I've sort of tried to catch up a little bit on the history. But Becky was the top girl and the top, one of the top wrestlers on the roster for a very long time. Or for a few years, I guess. But so she's been like a mentor and an idol to Lyra for a while.
Also Irish.
So now they're sort of using this real life kind of relationship and history to build a storyline of Becky turning on Lyra. Becky's reasoning for turning on Lyra doesn't really make any sense. She just seems mad and she seems like a hater for basically no reason.
Is she usually this angry or like her voice is so hoarse and her name is The Man, which is
her nickname is The Man, which I think is why she kind of goes with this. Yeah, she's like, I'm not like the other girls. I'm like a man. Yeah. Or I don't know if that's the reason why she's called The Man.
She's beautiful and small.
I mean, we missed why she's the man, but I think it's just because, the phrase, I'm the man.
Right, yeah. But yeah, she seems very angry and like really in her villain era because she's like, I'm the victim.
Yeah.
Like, y'all are booing me. It's so she's playing it pretty well, and I think she's kind of enjoying it.
Yeah, she's really funny. She took a shot at Bailey in the
Yeah.
podcast, in like a podcast.
Oh, and the podcast,
Yeah, you know the podcast. Yeah, yeah. I don't really acknowledge other podcasts. This is the only wrestling podcast that matters. But there is an official Raw podcast that they advertised during Raw, and Becky took a shot at Bailey on there and
What'd she
made fun of
say?
another wrestler named Sasha Banks. I don't know if you've seen any of her, but yeah, she took a shot at Sasha Banks, who is in AEW, so she doesn't matter anymore. But anyways, yeah, Becky's really in her villain era right now. And
Interesting.
she's going to fight Lyra for the IC title at Backlash. And I'm going to be sad for it. I'm going to watch it. I really don't know what's going to happen. I have no prediction for this match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I don't know where this is going. I don't know a lot about Lyra and her past, her history and her career, much less Becky. But I do enjoy seeing these two cute Irish women battling it out, and it's like a mentor-mentee situation. So yeah, it's fun to follow. But yeah, I don't know who's gonna win.
Yeah, Irish wrestlers are popping out right now, by the way. We're going to get to another Irish lad in a little bit when we talk about SmackDown.
Oh, okay.
Or actually, no, when we talk about Raw. We talk about what's going to happen after.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways, let's move on to, I guess, the last thing to kind of talk about on Raw is that we talk about Io, women's champion. She retained at WrestleMania, and her next feud looks like it's going to be with NXT call-ups, Roxanne and Julia.
Yeah.
You're sick of them. You already don't like them.
I'm already done. This is part of why I hate this new storylines.
Too many new wrestlers to follow.
Too many new wrestlers that I don't care about. And they're just evil. They're not even
they're not
good
just
guys or partnering or respecting our royalty on Raw.
So true. Io deserves better.
She deserves better.
They're doing it because Io needs some new blood to fight against. There's not enough heels, especially with Liv gone.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And the other heel women on the roster are mostly in the mid card. Like, what's her name? Liv's partner.
Michelle.
Yeah. No,
her name's not Michelle. I keep wanting to call her Michelle because Michelle Rodriguez.
She does have big Michelle Rodriguez, like typical Michelle Rodriguez character energy.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, I like Raquel, but she's not a main eventer. She's not going to be fighting with
I don't like
Io.
Raquel.
So I guess bringing in some new people. And then Rhea has helped Io a little bit, so maybe she's going back face. She's going to turn back. But I don't know. I don't know where Bianca is either. But yeah, it looks like this is kind of Io's just going to deal with this for a little while.
Yeah. Io, I'm rooting for her. I don't like these new girls. They're mean. They're ugly. I'm just kidding. That's not right.
They're not ugly.
They're not ugly. They're just so evil.
She's just such a big Io fan that anybody that Io fights, she's like,
yeah,
I don't like this girl.
Yeah, Io's everything. She's cute. She's funny. She's got a great little move. I'm doing it.
That's not with more enthusiasm.
No. You're embarrassing me. But yeah, she's got it all, and I'm really waiting for her. And she doesn't have I'm waiting for someone like Rhea to stand up for her, or these other main eventers in women's wrestling to stick up for her. They should respect her a little bit more. Why is she fighting these new girls that are just twisting and turning and just stabbing what is her name? The Prodigy, whatever, comes and tries to shake her hand, and then the other girl comes in and beats Io up. Oh, just have some respect. Sorry, but
She gets really fired up.
I'm really fired up
It's
about
tough
it.
to get her to stop once she gets going about Io Sky, favorite
I'll
wrestler.
defend Io till the day I die.
So, yeah, that's what Io's been dealing with. Last thing to talk about on Raw is one of the most surprising feuds. I did not see this coming. I don't think anybody saw this coming. Is that Gunther in his post-championship era, where he's still really mean and really mad, has chosen Pat McAfee as his next target. Well, I guess it's not fair. Pat challenged him, and Gunther has obliged.
Is that what happened? I don't even understand. All I know, I don't know how they got to this, how the writers were like, this is a good idea. Let's actually have Pat McAfee fight Gunther. Gunther? What's the appropriate?
I've seen people say it so many different ways, even
Maybe
in
it's-
WWE.
Oh, maybe it's the German accent.
He's Austrian.
Right. Okay. Austrian accent. Sound off in the comments what you prefer. Gunther or Gunther. Anyway, but I don't. So, Pat, as a good friend to
Michael Cole.
Michael Cole, the other announcer,
Mm-hmm.
says, don't talk to my friend like that. He is here every week of the year. No breaks. And the good people of where were we? Where were they?
Which episode are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about when they're both in the ring. And in order to hype the crowd up,
Oh yeah, they're
McAfee's
like
talking
in
about
Iowa or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Because he's talking about the stakes.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah. As a good friend, Pat is going to fight Gunther for Michael Cole, and Michael's just like,
I was like, I hope you know what you're doing, Pat. And he's like looking at his papers.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if he really appreciates it or not. But it's gonna be weird. I don't know, and I kind of don't want to see it. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be like a squash match. He's just gonna beat up Pat McAfee pretty bad.
And then what? Pat McAfee's gonna take a vacation for a little bit.
You could. I mean, that's like a good way to write people off. But I think Pat will get some shots in. But I think it's just a way to get maybe Gunther back on TV.
Yeah.
But this is obviously not going to be a long-standing thing. It's not going to be a real match.
Yeah.
Unless Pat McAfee has been secretly training and we don't know about it.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I hope he's ready.
Yeah, I'm sure Pat's been.
I hope
been in the
Gunther
gym.
is ready, because if he beats up Pat bad enough, Pat's wife is going to come after him.
Pat's wife has been defending him from these online trolls.
Yeah.
Do not come for Pat because you are going to have to pay.
Yeah, and I'm sure she'll defend her husband. That could be fun if she comes out and beats up Gunther.
I think Michael Cole should get into the match. I think he should start. But then who's going to commentate?
Yeah.
So,
Anyway.
yeah. I don't know. I want to see what Pat's moves are going to be like. Is he going to do like a kick because he's a punter? Should he have some kind of move?
Is
some
that
kind
what
of
he's
kick?
famous for? When?
He played with Peyton Manning. He played with Tom
Sorry.
Brady. He's only in his late 30s. So he didn't retire very long ago.
He's only in his late 30s.
He's like 38, I think.
He's only 8 years older than us? No. Peyton Manning is like way older than us.
I know, but he could have been in the beginning of his career when Peyton Manning was toward the end.
Sorry, that was a tangent. That was a mind blow. That was
A mind blow.
Sorry. Okay. Next.
Okay, I think that's it for Raw.
Okay, goodbye, Raw.
Bye, Raw.
Down to SmackDown.
Okay, on to SmackDown.
Yeah, let's run through this.
Let's run through this. Not as much has been happening on SmackDown. There's only been 2 episodes, and just they've also carried on the John Cena, Randy Orton storyline onto SmackDown as well. So that's been a big part of SmackDown because technically John Cena is on SmackDown. He has the SmackDown Championship belt.
Okay.
And then Randy Orton is a SmackDown superstar. So they've kind of been going back and forth at each other, talking about their history. Randy Orton has brought up that John Cena doesn't have any kids. and he needs to have kids.
Yeah, that was an insane. And I thought Nikki Bella was going to come out. That's what I'm betting on before the end of John Cena's appearances.
Yeah,
Nikki
Nikki should come
Bella is
back.
going to come out and talk some trash on John Cena, and that's going to be good.
No, I think when John Cena comes back as a face, Nikki should come back and then be like, "So you want to get back together?"
What? No.
You know, you don't want that to happen.
He's married to somebody else.
Oh, but in the wrestling storyline, they have not brought up his wife.
He wears a wedding ring.
When he's on wrestling?
Yeah, he wears like a rubber wedding ring.
I don't know. Sometimes WWE does not match reality, so maybe he could have a different wife in WWE.
Were they together in the WWE universe?
Yeah, well, I think Total Divas and then Total Bellas is part of the wrestling universe.
Yeah, but then it became a reality show about them.
Yeah, but then John has also teamed up with Nikki at WrestleMania and fought The Miz and Maurice. The Miz's wife.
Oh, I want to see that.
And then after the match, John Cena proposed to Nikki at WrestleMania. That's how they got engaged.
What?
You didn't know that? We'll have to watch that proposal.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, Randy Orton yells at John Cena. He's like, "Your problem. You know what your problem is? You don't have any kids."
He's like, I got kids of my own. I got adopted kids. I got...
He does?
Randy Orton? Yeah. Yes.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I know the lore is that the reason John Cena and Nikki broke up was because, well, one of the reasons is because John Cena did not want kids and Nikki did.
Yeah. Do you think John knew that Randy Orton was going to say that? Or do you think Randy just kind of was spitball and he was improving?
I don't know, because John Cena's response to Randy Orton saying that was like, I've been raising all of y'all's kids.
Yeah, probably it was reversed.
On TV.
Yeah.
Which was a good response.
Yeah.
And all of y'all are deadbeat parents because I've been raising all of y'all's kids.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And I don't know, I kind of agree with John.
Yeah.
Yeah, John has not
John
really...
John Cena raised you.
Yeah, no, John Cena did not raise me.
Oh.
I did grow up on hustle, loyalty, and respect, though.
What is that?
That's John's motto.
Oh.
Or it used to be.
Okay.
But anyways, so yeah, that's been that. It's, we'll see what happens at Backlash.
Yeah.
Okay. U.S. title. Fatu as the new champion has not backed down from any smoke. He is all gas, no brakes.
Love that.
And he's ready to fight anybody. He does not care. Solo Sikoa is backing him up while both of the Tongans are injured. So it's just Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and they're sort of entangled together.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is cool. I don't know. I think Solo, as the former tribal chief, now he's backing up Fatu to let him get his shine. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know how that power dynamic shifted, but okay.
So his first challenge is going to be a fatal 4-way. At the first SmackDown, McIntyre won a number one contender spot by beating LA Knight, who is the former champion.
Mm-hmm.
He won the match and got the number one contender spot via disqualification because what happened? I think Solo interfered in the match.
Yeah.
But anyways, McIntyre got the spot. But then somehow they've sort of reasoned it with Nick Aldis that Damian Priest and LA Knight should be added to this match and also get a championship shot, even though McIntyre is the only one that really earned it, technically, in the ring. So anyways, it'll be a fatal 4-way. These are 4 good wrestlers, and it's cool that they're all going to fight each other. I don't think that Fatu's going to lose. He just won it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like all 4 of these wrestlers, some more than others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what they're doing. What?
No. I couldn't care any less. No, I think you love a fatal 4-way, I think.
4 wrestlers at once? Come on. The only way to get better is 5.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll be entertaining. I don't... Any of these wrestlers, I don't know. They're just a mess to me when they all, like, end up fighting each other. Like you were telling me earlier that they made it a fatal 4-way because they have to have they can't have bad guys fighting bad guys and good
Hmm.
guys fighting good guys. So they just put them all together.
Yeah, and I think like they couldn't do a 2-way match any other way. So they, like you were saying, they can't just do Fatu versus McIntyre because that's two bad guys. They can't just do LA Knight versus Fatu because they just did that
Right.
at WrestleMania, and they can't do Damian Priest versus Fatu because Damian Priest just lost at
Yeah.
WrestleMania. So why would he
Yeah.
get a chance at the championship if he just lost?
Yeah.
So they just put all of them together to make it work.
Yeah. Damian Priest is in his loser era. Fatu is very good. McIntyre is very good. 2 winners. So it'll be interesting. I think something's gonna happen where, you're not somebody's gonna win, but the other is like caught up somehow in something. And
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be a clean ending.
Yeah,
I mean, they
yeah,
could easily do
not
a clean
clean.
ending because 4-way matches can, it doesn't have to be exactly 1-to-1 clean.
Yeah.
But maybe Solo will interfere in this match and cause some chaos.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think what maybe we're going to have down the line is going to be Fatu versus Solo Sikoa. So I don't know how they're going to build to that, but I think they've teased it where like
Really?
Fatu is kind of like leave me alone. Like I don't want your help. Leading up to the Mania match. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking that, but that's some good foreshadowing to consider.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Something that we talked about leading up to the WrestleMania card, the match that our least favorite match was the New Day versus War Raiders match. And we discussed why are the SmackDown championships not up for grabs. That has been the more interesting like tag division between all the cool tag teams there.
Uh-huh.
And they showed us that they did deserve to be on that card by having an amazing, uninterrupted, commercial-free, crazy TLC match.
Yeah. Sorry, I fell asleep. That was like the last match of
It was the last match of the night.
And I fell asleep. I heard it was great.
It was
you're alone on this, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll go over this quick. It was everybody that watched this match knows it was an amazing match. If you have not seen this match, it's the only thing it's been the best match since WrestleMania of any of these 5 shows that have happened so far. It was awesome. It was crazy spot, going through tables, guys going through ladders, chair shots, crazy new inventive moves that we haven't seen.
Shots? Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't even say who was in the match. It was Street Profits, the champions, versus DIY. Sorry, I forgot DIY's name. It's such a stupid name. Versus DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns. The only regret is that Pretty Deadly was not included. But 8 guys in one match is too much. 6 looked like it was the perfect number. Yeah. This match had everything. It was so well paced. It was extremely fast paced, frenetic. We got to see everything because the camera work and the directing. It was all. I mean, it was all because of the wrestlers. It was also the wrestlers' credit that they weren't like doing competing stuff that couldn't be captured at the same time. Sometimes in these 6-guy matches or these big tag team matches,
they don't have cameras to.
Yeah, they can't and if the wrestlers aren't really good and plan things out and don't have like good feel, they could step on each other's toes, but they didn't. It all worked out perfectly. Awesome match. It was the right winner, even though I would have been happy with any of the winners. But Street Profits retained. And it brought joy to my heart seeing a great wrestling match.
I'm glad to hear that.
Okay. I can talk more about TLC match history, but I'll tell you more about that off air if that ever comes up again.
Okay.
So, what else happened on SmackDown?
I don't know. It feels like a lot.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about 5 episodes.
Yeah, I mean...
We're talking about 15 hours of television.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Last thing to talk about on SmackDown is our president, Chelsea Green, with her secret Hervis. She lost the U.S. Championship to, what's her name?
Zarina.
Zelina.
Zelina.
She lost it to Zelina Vega.
Yeah.
Who, quick side note, her husband is back. And he's killing it in a feud with The Miz. But Zelina won her first, I believe, U.S. championship, which, of course, it is her first U.S. championship because the U.S. championship is new. But Zelina is the new U.S. champion.
Yeah.
And it looks like she's just going to be feuding with Chelsea and the Hervis for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for Zelina. I think she's a good wrestler. She's entertaining. And she's a good natural babyface, which is needed. You know?
What does that mean?
Like she's good at being a good guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she is one of my favorites as well. I'm really rooting for her. It's hard. It was a hard match for me to watch, her versus Chelsea, because I do love Chelsea. Because Chelsea is so funny.
Yeah.
But Zelina, why do I want to call her Zarina? Is that somebody else?
I don't think that's anybody ever.
Okay. I got it from somewhere. Relax. Zelina, yeah, she earned it. She has been fighting Chelsea for this belt. It felt like every week there for a while.
She took on American Made for a long time because they can't stop doing American Made versus luchadors or any Latino, at all. They have to keep fighting Latinos. They can't stop.
Yeah, but she's killing it. I'm happy for her. I think it's funny that that Chelsea and the Secret Hervis. Is it Secret Hervis or just Hervis?
No, it's the Secret Hervis.
Secret Hervis.
I like that she's been mourning her loss.
Yeah, mourning her loss in America. And none of them are American. Well, except Zelina.
Yeah, Zelina is American. But everybody in that cabinet, including the president, Chelsea, are not American.
Yeah. But we welcome her. But yeah, happy for Zelina. I hope she keeps it for a while. She earned it. And yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, me too. Quickly, kind of boring, but Tiffy Time is fighting Nia again and fighting your girl, Storm. She's also fighting her.
Storm. Jade?
Yeah, Jade Cargill. But Jade can't shake Naomi off her back. So probably Jade's going to have to deal with Naomi a little bit longer, and then she could challenge Tiffy Time after that.
Okay.
And in the meantime, Tiffy Time will just deal with Nia again.
Nia's back, which I'm glad. I'm happy.
Yeah, but where's Candice? Why Candice doesn't like her anymore?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and I think that's everything that's happened in 15 hours of television that we just recapped over the last... Yeah, I think we went over that pretty clearly. Pretty good.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good. I think we will cover this. What is the next thing?
We'll probably talk about Backlash.
We'll talk about Backlash, what's happening. Then we'll talk a little bit more about, like, I think we'd like to get into more, like, the lore and the backstory of some of these wrestlers. So maybe when we start doing these a little bit more consistently, we don't have to catch up on so much, and we can, talk more about, like, the history of Randy Orton and John Cena, or just a little bit more of the, like, information that you have that I'm hearing for the first time.
Yeah, and side note on that, to maybe get some of that stuff, I think we're going to be using TikTok. So follow us on TikTok at, I don't know the actual app, but Punch It Pro Wrestling. Look for us on there. We might have some fun side content on there to kind of deal with these little gaps in case there's some lull there. We don't have maybe time to do a full podcast. Like, we've been a little busy in the last couple of weeks, but we're going to try to stay on TikTok. So look out for us on there too.
Yeah. If there's any other recaps or wrestling history you want us to go over, just let us know in the comments or give us a text. I don't know.
Maybe don't text us unless you know us.
Yeah.
But anyways, signing off for Sid and Jamil. Make sure to punch it And that wasn't on camera. Let's do it
Mm.
again. Let's do it together in unison. We have to come up with a really good sign off.
Okay.
All right. Until next time, punch it. That's fine.